Guys, what is up? It's Safan Aviation here. Welcome back to another video. Today is a very special day because I'm starting off with a brand new series, which is AVCAST, the aviation podcast by Safan Aviation. Today's episode number 1, and we will be featuring RR Aviation in this video, who is not only a great aviation YouTuber and also a great friend of mine. So I'll let RR Aviation give his introduction and we'll get started.
Hello everyone, this is our Aviation. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very happy that today we are performing this inaugural video for Safwan. Yeah, let's start with it.
Okay, so we have some points of discussion for this video, which include what COVID-19 did to the aviation industry and how the industry plans to recover. And some other topics include new routes, new airlines, airlines have added to their fleet, and the aircraft retired, of course, due to COVID-19. So let's get started with the topic, which is, I believe, most important: the decline of the aviation industry during COVID-19. So I'd like to Ryan start with the topic, and then we'll go further into the discussion.
So thank you, Safwan. So personally, what I feel is that this had to happen. It had to happen inevitably, and this just has been speed up the process of decreasing the aviation industry. As example, the British 747s had to be retired in 2024, and now they're being retired this year. And it's eventually the aviation industry was moving towards cost-efficient, fuel-efficient aircraft. They were cutting down routes. They were cutting down aircraft like the A380, and more efficiency was being preferred. And this COVID-19 has just sped up this whole process. So, and it's very horrible for the industry. So many jobs have been interrupted. So many jobs. Airline operations have completely stopped, and airlines are closing down. And it just looks extremely hard that there will be any recovery right now. But eventually, things will recover. But we don't know how much time it will take, and how will the airlines, will they take a new approach, or will they just go back to the old times?
Yeah, sure. That's very clear. That's going to take a lot of time for the industry to recover, especially with all the losses airlines face, especially commercial airlines, passenger airlines. Of course, the cargo industry was steady, and the need for cargo, medical supplies around the world, everything was needed. So in fact, it boosted the cargo industry of the aviation sector, but surely the commercial or passenger section or sector was affected greatly. So we'll talk about some of the airlines which have been greatly impacted by this pandemic. One of them include uh, South African. So South African, as maybe you guys know, suffered great losses. All they filed for bankruptcy. They had to give up their A350s, which were 3 of which were leased. So, and then because of COVID-19, nobody can really travel because it was dangerous, and we saw the devastating effects on Europe and how their industry came to a halt, and especially the low-cost carriers were very affected by this. What do you have to say about European aviation, Ryan?
European aviation is just completely finished at the moment. There's a second wave coming up there, and European aviation mostly rather than aircraft like the A320, the 737, and around like 5-6 flights per day between one destination. That is completely stopped, and there can be no cargo operation, as Europe depends more on trains and by road for cargo. It does not require flights, and the cargo hold of the Airbus A320 or 737 is not even close to the cargo hold of a wide body aircraft. So for any low cost airline like Ryanair, EasyJet, this is a massive decline and they already had such low fares, and they can't decrease it further. So it's very tough for them to recover. Keep in mind, Ryanair already has the 77 Max issue going on, and I can't see these airlines going back to normal anytime soon. You know, Emirates, Qatar, they can go, but these airlines is extremely tough.
Now that you mention Emirates and Qatar Airways, they also have faced great losses, I might say, because as flights were cancelled from March onwards, they had to do billions of dollars worth of refunds because there were practically no flights. And these airlines have trillions of dollars of budget for a year, but Emirates had to ground many of its A380s at Dubai World Central Airport in order to cut down costs. And if a huge mega airline like Emirates has to do that, then we can really imagine what it did to smaller airlines. Um, Also, moving on to the United States, many huge airlines.
I want to add one point. I want to
Sure.
add one point. The thing about Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad, that yes, they did suffer a lot, but they were very clever. You know, Etihad, Emirates, they were all operating repatriation flights here in Pakistan. They were operating cargo flights. They did improvise a bit. Qatar was operating a daily H50 out of here, and Emirates was sending many 777 as cargo. You know, Etihad sent a Dreamliner here, and it still is going on. So they are improvising in a country like Pakistan, where there was traffic, because where people did want to come back to the nation.
Yeah, a lot of people came back to Pakistan from immigrants who were working in other countries, such as Dubai, United States, some countries in Europe, UK. So those people came back, but there was still a limited amount because in June and July, and August, it's the peak time for such huge airlines to earn because, of course, of the tourism sector of many countries. For example, I believe Emirates operates 2 to 3 A380 flights to London. I'm not too sure. I think it's more than this, but those flights are full. So economy, business.
Every single flight to Heathrow was used to be an A380, and there
Exactly.
were like
So
around 2-3 flights to Gatwick.
yeah, that's amazing how much traffic Heathrow can handle, and there's a record for Heathrow that every 2 minutes a plane lands and takeoffs. So that airport, who was at maximum capacity with 2 runways, was operating on only one runway during the pandemic's height. The spike. Currently, the second runway has opened up, but not that much traffic. There's a lot of restrictions on passengers going from one country to another, and tourism this year it's almost zero. And countries like the Maldives, which earn the economy is based on tourism. They don't even produce their own bread. They import it. And when the pandemic struck, the economy went down. There are millions of hotels in their countries. There was nobody to stay in those hotels. Many hotels shut down. There was not enough food for the people. So here we see that the aviation industry has a huge worldwide impact. And what would you like to add on here, Priya?
I mean, saying that it has an impact is a complete understatement, as impact is such a light word to use considering what has happened throughout the world. You have airlines like Qantas, they used to operate long haul operations using the A380, 787, they are all grounded now. There's no international flights from Australia. Singapore Airlines, their flagship aircraft was the A380, it's grounded now. The A380 is completely dead. And H380s which were like around like 1 year or 2 years old, they're all grounded. I'm surprised that British Airways isn't grounding the whole fleet or for Lufthansa. But I won't be surprised if they do make the decision to ground them all. And there's still no transatlantic operations between Europe and the USA. It is huge, and we still don't have regular Saudi Airlines flights here in Pakistan. Like Saudi Airlines, 300, 400 passengers, and
Um,
I can't see them resuming in this month or the next.
Yeah. And it was a great surprise to me when during the pandemic, and especially when Virgin Atlantic was facing huge losses, and they almost, you know, gave up to bankruptcy, declared bankruptcy. They announced weekly, I think at least 7 weekly flights to Pakistan, which was quite surprising considering the fact that the industry is going downhill and not uphill, in fact, and the Pakistani aviation sector is growing. What would you like to comment about that?
I think Pakistan, even if you like keep aside the aviation industry, we have done pretty well during this COVID-19, and the aviation industry just proves that. Obviously, PIA has been horrible, but PIA is PIA. I don't know what they have done this year, but Serene Airwood, they're all booming. Virgin Atlantic is coming here, and they're not just coming; they're getting 3 new routes here. I'm pretty sure just considering Lahore, we'll have around we are getting Pegasus Airlines in Karachi soon in around a week, and we have gotten many fleet upgrades. It's been a pretty good time for Pakistan aviation. So
Yeah, that's what I was exactly saying.
when the whole world,
Go ahead.
so when you think about the all the aviation industries, they've been going down, but Pakistan's going up. It's weird, but I'm not really angry as a Pakistani supporter.
Yeah, of course, but then in May we saw a devastating crash near Karachi Jinnah International Airport, which happens to be our hometown. That was a bit of a shock, you see. PIA was in a growth, and suddenly, because of this, we got the dubious pilot drama. Then PI got banned from Europe, UK, and the United States, and that basically, created a vacuum for another airline to fill in the market that PIA had or PIA held previously. And Virgin Atlantic, of course, filled in that void and now is going to be a firm competitor for PIA. Given that their safety standards have gone low and Virgin Atlantic is a huge airline, I mean, a great airline, I'd say, and that's just change. How the Pakistan UK route and the market will change. I am personally a Pakistani, so I would have preferred Virgin Atlantic over PIA any day because the history of PIA doesn't want you to make a flight. You don't want to travel with PIA. So um, exactly. So that's my point. Now I think when Virgin Atlantic has a firm grasp over the Pakistan UK routes, it's going to be difficult, very difficult for PIA to regain that market.
I think PIA, they used to have disadvantage of the direct flight. They used to exploit it. There's no improvement in their product over the years. The product is still pretty bad compared to national airlines, and people who did not want direct, who could just ignore the direct flights, they used to take the Middle East airlines. But now pretty sure it's Virgin Atlantic. It's the option is pretty clear for PIA. Either they have to improve or they go home.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
And
I would never take PIA right now.
yeah, of course, nobody in their right mind would, I'd say. Um, Many Pakistanis, as mentioned in Ace Aviation's recent last video, was that they come home to Pakistan from the UK to meet family and friends. And PIA was connecting Pakistan directly from the UK. Otherwise, if you take Emirates or Qatar Airways or Etihad, you have to connect to their hub airports. So this was a faster route. And now that they have a major airline operating on that route, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for PIA to gain the trust of its customers, of its passengers. Um, when I was traveling recently, I didn't even think or consider with traveling with PIA. Instead, I went for Air Blue. Although Air Blue had a devastating crash many years ago, they've improved. I'd say that the service was good, the aircraft was well maintained, and of course, Serene Air received its Airbus A330-200, which is the first wide-body aircraft in their fleet. um, which will open many new routes to Pakistan, especially Karachi, where Serene Air is based. Add on something to that, Rian.
Well, in around 2 hours, it will depart for its first ever flight, and we can only appreciate Serena because their expansion is just so well planned. They have been here for around 3-4 years now, and they have been planning everything. They did not make any move too fast. The 77s, they 3 years they just stabilized, and now they have made the expansion. When an aircraft like the H-30 is available for peanuts, they have ordered 3 of them. One is on ground right now. And the best thing I liked about them that they were advertising it. They were showing the world that we got an A330. We have a new product here, and it will be an inaugural flight. They made a big deal out of it, and which
Okay,
PIA does not care what their product is.
that's
Only
quite
good
right.
things to say about.
Yeah, the Pakistani aviation sector seems to be growing, although PIA is declining. But I see a bright future for Serene Air because now they're expanding at a time when a huge domestic carrier is declining. And so they're going to also gain not only the international market of PIA, which is Dubai to Saudi Arabia, but also the domestic sector, like Lahore or Islamabad or Peshawar. So where, of course, the airports can handle a wide-body aircraft. And moving on to the decline of the Boeing 747, the beautiful queen of the skies, and the king of the skies, I like to call it, the Airbus A380. Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, as I said in starting, the decline was there. It was bound to happen. It was happening. It just got sped up by this whole COVID-19 process. 4 engines aircraft, they just cannot exist anymore. They are just not viable for airlines. And the A380, it, its time was up. The production was already over this year, and now its grave is now. This COVID-19 was the final nail in the coffin for the A380, and the 747, I think so, it was already dead. It was just on its final breath, but now it's like honestly completely dead. I hope to fly on one, but now that's a complete afterthought. And the A380, I can only see Emirates and a few other airlines operating it. I honestly cannot even see Qatar resuming
Huge
operations for
airlines
the
like
A380.
Air France also retired their entire A380 fleet. Qantas grounded its A380s permanently until 2022. Qatar Airways A380s are on the ground. BA A380s are on the ground. So overall, there's no future for the A380 or 747 aircraft, four-engine aircraft, as Rehan said, because these aircraft cost a lot to operate. And in a time where airlines aren't earning anything, they can't afford to have these aircraft in their fleet. For example, I was reading an article written by Moiz ur Rahman, and in that article, I read that an average A380 costs $26,000 to $29,000 for 1 hour, and an Airbus A350 uses approximately $13,000 for the same amount of time, which is 1 hour. And an airline like Emirates, was a firm supporter of the A380 program, backed out, cancelled its orders, and then went ahead to buy A350s because they seem like the more viable option now. And I don't know, as much as all of us aviation app geeks love the four-engine jets, especially the Queen of the Skies, in the next 5 years, I believe there will be none left because they're going and they're going fast. And it's like, what should I call it? Um,
The
uh,
White Rhino.
you could say that. But it's either these aircraft were on the ventilators and they were being kept alive, but due to COVID-19, they just had to pull the plug and they had to let it die. Um, Although we might miss these aircraft, this is the inevitable future. We have more fuel efficient planes, and that's what it is, and we can't really do about it. Anything you'd like to add more, Ryan, or different topic?
Well, no, one last point. When we look at the H30 right now, it was always doom, but right now we are looking at it like the H30, the 777. People are even questioning their reliability. The 787, A350 is a completely new dimension of efficiency, of fuel saving. Airlines are more going towards that. You won't see a new upcoming airline by the A350, or by the A330 or 777. Yeah, obviously you have airlines like Serene, and they're expanding using the H30, but you won't see airlines like Starlux who's coming in Taiwan. They won't use H30. They're directly going for the H50 1000, as it's just so fuel efficient and it suits their model of being a luxury airline. So it's not only a death of H30 and the 747. It's kind of a warning for the other twin engine jets that we are moving on now.
Yeah, speaking of the Boeing 777 and A330, we have new variants of these aircraft coming up very soon. For example, the A777X and the A330 Neo. So these aircraft kind of promise a future for the 777 and the A380, A330, sorry. But the A380 and 747 are definitely dead. I believe that the 777-300ER is still going to live a bit longer than the 777-200 variants, although the 777 freighter will always remain a great choice for airlines until there's a freighter version announced for the 777X. A330 Neo is kind of the same case. It's a more fuel efficient version of the A330. And I see a promising future for these planes, but some just have to go. For example, earlier this year, the Mad Dog was retired. Um, it was an end of an era. Mad Dogs have been in US aviation for a long time. And, just seeing them go, I personally didn't, like much about them. But, of course, they're a classic. There was a time when I didn't like the 747, but right now I find it the most mesmerizing aircraft there is. Because these planes changed how air travel works today. They were you say, the revolution started with them. Would you like to add on something to that?
1 year ago, you could ask any American that which aircraft is the backbone of American aviation. They'll say the 757, the 767, and they're irreplaceable, and they'll be here for many, many, many more years. 1 year on, they're all retired. That's just how fast things have happened. And I was quite
Yeah,
surprised to see the
fast forward,
767 being
please.
retired. It's one of my favorite aircrafts, and it was such a good aircraft for flights, for international travel. But it's gone now. American Airlines is just now relying on the 787 for most of their long haul operations.
Yeah, and during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that huge airlines like American, United, Delta, airports which are their hubs, the taxiways, were full of parked aircraft because there was no capacity to park them somewhere else. And that's how horrible it got. And um, so I believe there will be a revival, but it's not till 2022. At least not now. There's still no passenger traffic, and when there are less passengers, what will airlines do with their aircraft? Many airlines did convert their aircraft to cargo aircraft so that they can fly cargo routes, but that's very limited. Um, you can't just change all aircraft to a cargo, and that was also very difficult because there were boxes on passenger seats and they had to be wrapped, and there was a lot of procedures. Once again, in aviation, time is truly money, and the longer your plane or aircraft is on the ground, the more it will cost you. So it's always better for airlines to keep their aircraft flying, and this halted that. In conclusion of this first episode, would you like to say something, Rayan?
Well, first of all, I would like to say thanks for having me again. It was a pleasure being here. And today it was a very good discussion. We had to discuss this, and because this is such a big topic right now. We don't even know how will we recover. Will it be a new normal or will it be the old times? Like as I said, Virgin Atlantic's Pakistan routes are completely new, completely out of the blue. They've never done it. They could have reestablished one of the older routes like Las Vegas, but no, they just went to Pakistan. Maybe airlines will start new boundaries. Maybe we will see more airlines in this country. Interesting times lay ahead now. But the good thing is, I believe the tough times are over.
Yeah, and it's a new era. So, in conclusion, thank you for watching the first episode of AVCAST, the aviation podcast by Safan Aviation. Don't forget to like this video, share it if you liked it, subscribe to my channel, RR Aviation's channel, and AS Aviation's channel. Is very close to getting 8,000 subscribers. So let's get in there. Let's show some support throughout the community. Thank you once again, Ryan, for you know joining me in this video. It was an honor to have you. Congrats on your 1,000 subscribers, and let's finish this video here. I'll be seeing you guys in other videos, and the next episode of AvCast will be in about a month, and that is a very special episode because I've got a good guest coming, and it's going to be one hell of a discussion. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in other videos. Peace.